The media frenzy surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has only intensified with Harry's BBC interview, and body language expert Scott Rouse wasted no time dissecting every gesture. Harry's carefully chosen words carried weight, but what drew more attention were the pauses, the flickers in his expression, and the tension in his shoulders. According to Rouse, the interview was more than just Harry speaking, it was a performance with layers of emotion hiding beneath polished words. As Harry answered questions about his departure from royal life, Scott noted subtle shifts in posture. When speaking about the monarchy, Harry leaned slightly back, creating physical distance. His hand gestures grew restrained when topics of family tension arose, signaling discomfort. Scott explained that such signals suggest Harry was revealing only part of the truth, guarding other emotions that might be too volatile to express publicly. The BBC interviewer pressed him on the rift with his brother William. Harry's smile was quick, almost rehearsed, before fading just as fast. His lips tightened, eyes darted briefly downward, a classic sign of concealed frustration. Scott pointed out that these micro-expressions hinted Harry was holding back stronger feelings. The public saw diplomacy, but beneath the surface was anger and hurt, carefully hidden from direct exposure. When Meghan was mentioned, Harry's demeanor shifted again. He straightened, his tone softened, yet his jaw remained tense. Scott highlighted this contradiction, saying it reflected a man torn between protecting his wife and shielding himself from judgment. His affection was genuine, but his defensiveness revealed he anticipated criticism. It wasn't just love, it was a mix of pride, fear, and the burden of constant public scrutiny. Scott drew attention to Harry's breathing patterns during the tougher questions. Each time the conversation veered toward family disputes, Harry exhaled heavily, then forced composure back into his voice. These were signs of stress regulation, Rouse explained, where the body betrays what the mouth won't admit. Harry was clearly under pressure, and though he framed his answers diplomatically, his body language betrayed unease. The media blitz surrounding Harry and Meghan meant this interview was dissected globally. Every clip circulated on social platforms, and analysts like Rouse amplified the conversation by decoding the hidden meanings. To many, Harry seemed measured and thoughtful, but to trained eyes, there were gaps between his words and behavior. Those gaps, Scott suggested, hinted at unresolved truths Harry was deliberately concealing. When the interviewer questioned whether Harry missed aspects of royal life, his reply was clipped, lacking emotional depth. His fingers fidgeted slightly against his knee, a gesture almost imperceptible to the casual viewer. Scott argued this was a sign of internal conflict. Harry wanted to project certainty, yet his body betrayed nostalgia or regret. The prince seemed determined to present strength, but the cracks in his composure suggested otherwise. Rouse emphasized that hiding emotions isn't unusual in high-stakes interviews. For Harry, though, the stakes were uniquely high. He wasn't just speaking for himself but for Meghan and their family's image. Each gesture, each pause carried implications that could fuel headlines for weeks. The challenge was immense, balancing honesty, diplomacy, and self-protection, while under the lens of global scrutiny. Harry's tone grew firmer when the subject of the press came up. His hand gestures sharpened, his words quickened. Scott identified this as a leak of genuine frustration, Harry's true emotions spilling through despite his attempts at control. In contrast to earlier restraint, this moment was raw. It showed that while he could mask certain feelings, his resentment toward the press remained impossible to suppress completely. The analysis also considered Harry's micro-expressions when asked about reconciliation. His face briefly showed sadness before he masked it with a neutral expression. This fleeting vulnerability, Rouse explained, was the closest Harry came to exposing his inner turmoil. It suggested longing for resolution, even as he maintained the official line. The prince was hiding not malice, but deep-seated pain that words alone could not reveal. Social media reacted instantly, with clips of Scott's breakdown circulating alongside the original BBC footage. Viewers debated whether Harry's behavior reflected dishonesty or simply human struggle under pressure. Many sympathized, arguing he had every right to protect his emotions, while critics claimed the guardedness proved he wasn't being fully transparent. The body language analysis only fueled the polarization. In dissecting Harry's words and gestures, Scott Rouse raised the question, what exactly was Harry hiding? Was it anger at his family, fear of media backlash, or guilt over leaving royal duties behind? The answer wasn't singular. According to Rouse, Harry was likely hiding all of it, layered emotions too complicated for one interview. His restraint wasn't about deception but survival under an unforgiving spotlight. The intensity of this analysis highlighted how much meaning people seek beyond words. In Harry's case, silence, pauses, and gestures became louder than the sentences themselves. For those who admired him, the tension revealed strength under attack. For critics, the guardedness looked like weakness. Either way, the conversation confirmed Harry's story was no longer just his, it belonged to the public's interpretation. As the days passed, the BBC interview continued to spark debate, amplified by Rouse's insights. Analysts, commentators, and fans all projected their perspectives onto Harry's behavior. What he revealed and what he concealed became the subject of endless speculation. The media blitz worked perfectly. Harry remained at the center of attention, even as he attempted to shield parts of his life from exposure. The most striking observation from Rouse was that Harry's guarded body language wasn't about hiding a single secret but about containing a storm of emotions. The prince, once defined by royal protocol, now faced the challenge of carving a personal identity. His gestures reflected a man caught between duty, love, pain, and pride. Each hesitation wasn't weakness, it was survival, balancing truth with restraint. Ultimately, the BBC interview and Scott Rouse's analysis underscored the paradox of Harry's public life. By speaking out, he hoped to reclaim control, yet every gesture invited more scrutiny. What Harry was hiding, Rouse suggested, wasn't scandal but humanity, the raw, complicated feelings of a man torn between two worlds. And in trying to keep those feelings hidden, he revealed more than he perhaps intended.